The galaxy breathed in cold vacuum. Starliners and cargo freighters slipped between planets like silent ghosts, and humanity, earthborn, scarred, defiant, waited. Captain Jackson Hale stood on the bridge of the UNS Caliban, the flagship of Earth's patrol fleet. He was a broad-shouldered man, lines of stress carved into his face, steel in his eyes. His service cap bore the cracked emblem of humanity's earliest starships, a clenched fist punching through a spiral galaxy. Behind him, Lieutenant Commander Reyes tapped data streams, his jaw clenched. "Sir, long-range sensors picked up a fleet entering the sector, Warbird class and heavier, Empire standard." Hale's throat went tight. This was no stray ram. It was massed intent. "Distance? 0.14 light-years. Closing fast." Reyes didn't need to say more. The bridge went quiet. Humanity had known this was coming. They'd seen the Empire's raids on Kolokova, their brutal tax demands on neutral systems, their blockades strangling trade. Earth had resisted peace treaties, refused to be vassals, refused to bow, and now they were here. Hale spun to his crew. "Battle stations, all hands prepare to engage." A hush washed across the deck, the moment pregnant with grief and defiance. They hit alert sirens. Crew rushed to stations. Hatch doors sealed, bulkheads clanged shut. The Caliban shuddered from thrusters powering up, her mass-reactive armor humbling under strain. Hale reached for the comm panel. "Admiral Talbot, confirm. We're clearing civilians?" Static. "Confirmed. Civilian registry row N Delta onward. Evac nearly complete. Weapons hot. Awaiting your orders." He pressed a finger to his lips. Never speak above a whisper during battle protocol. "Understood. Hold position. We're the tripwire." Down the hall, Ensign Morris gripped a rail, knuckles white. She was 19, fresh out of academy. Too young, Hale thought. He caught her eye. Honesty, fear. He managed a nod. She swallowed, exhaled, turned. A vibration shook the ship. Distance scanners flashed. Someone spoke over comm. "Empire fleet at range, sir. 60,000 kilometers, forming attack vector." Hale grounded himself. He'd been through drills, dozens, but never real. It had to be perfect. "Forward shields to maximum. Spread ECM and jamming drones." He tapped his mic. "Tactical team, bring up target prioritization. We neutralize warbirds first, then capital ships. Civilian clearance still highest priority." Reyes's fingers flew. "Locking on. Warbird class in range." Red lights pulsed. The Caliban's weapons readied. Hale watched in the targeting display. Sleek enemy ships bristling with weapons. Their hull markings stark black and gold. Imperial colors. He remembered Earth's warnings. Isolationism was naive. Diplomacy had failed. Now they would see human steel. The first volley hit. Plasma lances flared, but the Caliban's shields drank it. Nearly half took. The warbirds remained intact, advancing. "Fire full belt. Mass drivers and railguns unleashed." Boom! The Caliban shook. Flash of tracer rounds. A warbird reeled. Sparks sprayed from its engines. The crew cheered. Quiet, urgent relief. Then retaliation. A kinetic hammer. A direct spear hit. Shredded a quarter of the shields. Holler alarm. Ambient lights flickered. Hale's jaw set. "Reinforce forward shield banks. Compensate with power redistribution." He checked the civilian clearance ticker. Green and slowly moving. They had time, but less with every second. Imperial comms crackled through jamming. A synthetic voice. "Surrender or be destroyed." Cold. Imperious. Hale hit transmit. "We are not yours to command. We warn you. Do not push us." Moments later, a massive warbird launched suicide drones. Thousands of small bombs surged, nastily named Widow's Web. They winked out, exploding across the drone's cloud. The Caliban shuddered as they hit shields, but hull punctured. "Deck 9 to 11, hull breach," came the call. Fires broke out. Hale inhaled tight air. He barked over the mic. "Damage control teams done quickly. No civilians hurt." "Sir, second wave incoming. Drone clouds doubled." He sensed crew's breath catching. They were ready. They were brothers from all Earth. He would not let them die for nothing. "Bring power plant to 110%. Divert from aft shields." The Caliban surged forward, weapons auto-tracking, drones flared. The forward shields overloaded, taking damage across the bow. Suddenly, a deep rumble. Bravo mass driver, direct hit on their flagship's bridge. A shockwave. Panels shattered. Hale flew against the console. A voice screamed. Smoke coil. Dull flash. Then silence. He coughed, wiping shards. He saw Reyes nearby, bleeding, eyes distant. "Hale, holding you?" he barked. "Still with you." Reyes choked back pain. Within seconds, control system rebooted. "Weapons are still up, sir. We knocked out a second warbird. Credit to the gunners." Hale pushed up, shock in his limbs. The crew's grit warmed him. They held. They hadn't broken. "Good," he rasped. "Target remaining threats. And dampen minefields. We might need an exit path." Suddenly, alarms. "Incoming signal. Admiral Talbot reaches out." Hale keyed it. Talbot's face appeared, bruised with fatigue. "Jax, hold them as long as you can. That fleet, there's more yet, converging at the belt. You're their tripwire. You buy us time." Hale's throat closed. He swallowed. "Understood." But what he didn't speak. "I don't know if we survive this." Talbot ended. Hale stared out the viewport. Stars flared from distant war and peace ships. The Empire fleet loomed, indifferent. He turned to the crew, voice low but fierce. "This is our line. We've given our warning. Hold steady, or die trying." A cheer answered, quiet but resolute. Then battle resumed. Smoke curled through the corridors of the UNS Caliban like incense in a temple of war. Fire teams ran past broken bulkheads, dragging wounded across slick, scorched floors. Somewhere beneath the chaos, a man sang softly to a dying comrade. Captain Jackson Hale stood in silence at the main viewport, eyes fixed on the swelling cluster of hostile blips. The Empire's warships had fallen back slightly, regrouping. A feint or arrogance? Maybe both. But Hale knew this. The Empire wasn't used to losing. Behind him, Commander Reyes leaned on a brace, bandaged but still active. "Sensor logs show they've launched a signal probe," he muttered. "Could be calling reinforcements from the far rim." "Let them," Hale said without flinching. "Let the whole damn galaxy come. They'll find out what a cornered human really is." A moment of stillness passed, broken by the faint hiss of the ship's air recyclers. Then the doors to the bridge opened, and a face Hale hadn't seen in years stepped through. Major Elias Grant, Black Ops, presumed dead. Hale's eyes narrowed. "You were supposed to be on Titan. Last I heard you disappeared during the Ceres mission." Grant gave a cold grin. "And yet here I am." Reyes bristled. "Who authorized your presence on this ship?" "I didn't need it. I brought you a gift." Two security troopers dragged in a battered alien prisoner, imperial rank by the looks of his insignia, blood dripping from torn flesh. His eyes, narrow and gold-flecked, still held contempt. "Empire officer," Grant said. "Caught him coordinating planetary suppression tactics near Epsilon 9. He's their forward scout. Think of him as their middle finger to Earth." Hale stepped forward. "Put him in secure hold. No contact with crew, no mercy, no special rights." The alien sneered. "You are insects crawling out of dirt. You don't win against empires, you rot under their weight." Grant drew a pistol and pistol-whipped him into unconsciousness. "That's enough of that." Reyes turned to Hale, voice low. "We're not the only ones fighting dirty, are we?" Maybe it's time we stop pretending we're clean. Just then, the alarms sounded again. Fleet movement. Hale rushed to the screens. A smaller Earth vessel, UNS Morgan, was under direct fire. Her shields were gone. She broadcasted a distress ping, 2 seconds long before silence swallowed it. "They're targeting stragglers," Reyes growled, "picking off whoever's isolated." "They're not just fighting us," Hale said quietly. "They're studying us, measuring." "Should we pull the Morgan's transponder?" someone asked. "No," Hale snapped. "Leave it on loop. Let her name echo. They'll remember it when this is done." He turned to his operations officer. "Spin up counter-insertion pods. We're taking the fight to them. Drop teams onto the forward warbird. Disable its bridge or gut their engines. Either way, make them bleed." The crew stared. Unsure if it was madness or genius, Hale didn't wait for consensus. "I need volunteers." 3 stepped forward. Then 5 more. Then 10. No speeches. Just a hard nod, a silent understanding that this might be the last time they ever stood on solid ground. Reyes grunted. "You know they'll try to kill you before you breach their hull, right?" "I know," Hale replied. "But if we keep sitting back, this ship will become a tomb." An hour later, the counter-insertion pods launched. Silent, black as shadows, they sped toward the enemy warbird. Inside one, Hale stood with the breach team, veterans and green blood alike. Beside him, Corporal Travis Kane checked his charge packs with shaky hands. "Sir?" Kane asked. "Why us?" "Why now?" "Because no one expects humans to punch back this hard, and because someone has to make them afraid of us again." Moments later, they hit the warbird's outer shield. The hull screamed as they penetrated. The pod's drill core bored through metal, sparks showering around them. Then came the hiss of atmosphere and the scream of enemy crew as the breach opened. Hale stepped through first, rifle raised. He shot the first 2 Imperial guards before they even drew breath. His boots hit the floor hard. Gunfire erupted behind him. Lasers sliced across the corridor. One of the rookies screamed as he fell. A chunk of wall exploded in fire. They pushed forward, brutal and relentless. The warbird was beautiful inside, like a palace of blades and steel. But Hale only saw targets. They swept through the lower levels, disabling power cores, hacking systems. Bodies fell, human and alien both. Then Hale reached the bridge. The doors blew inward. The commander stood waiting, a tall figure draped in shimmering gold armor. "You dare come here?" he sneered. Hale leveled his weapon. "We warned you." He pulled the trigger. Blood dripped from Captain Hale's fingers as he dragged himself down the warbird's corridor, the pulse of battle still pounding in his ears. The Imperial commander lay dead behind him, a smoking crater where his skull had been. Human bodies were scattered like broken toys. His men, the ones who had followed him into the enemy's throat. Only 3 survived the breach. "Extraction routes compromised," Kane coughed, limping beside him with a jagged wound along his thigh. "Too many enemy reinforcements. They're pouring in." "Then we make a new route," Hale snapped, dragging a dead Imperial over and stripping his access card. They ran, ducking through service hatches, lighting corridors with burst fire from stolen rifles. The ship groaned beneath their feet. Explosions echoed through the superstructure. Grant's second wave, the distraction team, had managed to plant thermal charges. But Hale knew the truth. This wasn't victory. This was survival. Barely. They reached the hull bay just as the Caliban initiated its emergency beacon, a coded signal. That meant trouble. Bad trouble. "We're late," Kane muttered, clutching his side. Hale grabbed a side panel, forced it open, and jammed the override codes. The breach pod they arrived in had long since been vaporized, but another ship, a Corvette-class escape vessel, was docked nearby. "Let's steal it." The three of them stormed the corvette and threw the pilot crew into the bulkhead with short, brutal force. No words. No hesitation. 10 minutes later, the corvette peeled off the Warbird's flank and sped toward Allied space. As stars blurred in the viewport, Hale leaned back, chest heaving. He looked at his bloody hands. "We hit them hard," Kane chuckled, blood bubbling on his lips. "But not hard enough?" When they finally reached the Caliban, the scene was far worse than Hale expected. The flagship floated half-lit, her port-side hull shredded and burning. 4 other Earth ships were gone entirely, just names now, etched in code black across the fleet manifest. Admiral Talbot's ship, the Resolute, had also gone dark. No communications, no signal. Nothing. Inside the Caliban, Reyes met Hale in the docking bay, grim-faced. "We thought you were dead. You look worse." "Where's Talbot?" Reyes hesitated. "Missing." "What?" "Went dark 30 minutes after your assault began. No explanation. No escape pods tracked." "That doesn't happen." "It did." Hale stormed through the corridor toward command. The crew stared at him like a ghost, some with awe, others with dread. After all, he had returned from the mouth of hell. But there was something else. A tension. A shift. Inside the war room, Grant stood at the central console, commanding operations as if he belonged there. Hale froze. "Where's your authorization to be on my bridge?" Grant didn't flinch. "Admiral's gone. Chain of command's broken. Someone had to step up." "You!" Hale snapped. "I got the only Black Ops clearance left in this quadrant," Grant replied. "And your ship's broken, your command's cracked, and morale's sinking like a dead god." Hale stepped closer. "Don't mistake chaos for consent. You're not in charge." Grant leaned in, voice low. "Someone leaked our plans to the Empire. They knew exactly where the Morgan would be. They hit us at our weak point, not our stronghold. This wasn't strategy. This was betrayal." The word landed like a fist to the stomach. "Who?" Hale asked. "We're still tracing logs. But someone in command's feeding the Empire information. Someone Earthside." A long silence passed between them. Then Grant added, "We have a list." Names. Hale took the datapad and scanned it. Half the names meant nothing. One, however, did. Commander Laird Thompson. He had served with Hale years ago on Jupiter's blockade. A loyal officer, by the book, conservative, quiet, but brilliant. "He's not a traitor," Hale said flatly. Grant raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" "Because the evidence says otherwise. His encryption keys were used to upload fleet positions an hour before the Morgan's death. Maybe someone stole his access. Or maybe he chose a side." Hale dropped the pad. "Until we're sure, no public accusations. That's how you collapse a fleet. Or save it." Reyes entered then. "You both need to see this." He pulled up a video log, intercepted by long-range scanner. A transmission from deep inside Earth's defense grid. It was a meeting. 3 men in shadow. One with an Earth naval emblem, another in civilian robes. The third, an Imperial. Grant's voice was razor-sharp. "This is Earth's diplomatic committee, negotiating with the enemy, selling us out. They've been talking for months." "Impossible," Hale said, but it rang hollow. "It gets worse. They're not just negotiating for peace. They're negotiating for transition, surrender. Earth becomes a vassal state. The war ends. If we agree to disarm the fleet, accept rule under an imperial viceroy, and purge all independent command." "That's not a treaty," Hale spat. "That's slavery. And most of the civilians will support it. They're terrified. They've seen cities bombed from orbit. This war can't be won by numbers." "But we've tasted victory," Reyes said. "Your raid. The Caliban still flies. The Empire's not used to resistance like this." "They will be now," Hale muttered, "and that makes them desperate." They all knew what had to happen. We keep this fleet intact, Hale said. We find Talbot, or what's left of him. We purge the leaks, and we give the Empire something they can't bury: fear. Grant smirked. That sounds like you just volunteered for suicide missions. I volunteered the moment they came to our system. An hour later, the Caliban's engines ignited once more, now under skeleton protocol. Repairs held her together, barely, but her core was still hot, and her crew, those left, still believed. Hale watched Earth disappear behind him, a blue-green marble fading into star-dusted black. Reyes stood beside him, arms folded. Do you think it's true, he asked, that Earth's leaders would trade freedom for peace? No, that they think we'll obey. Hale's jaw flexed. We're not here to obey. We're here to make damn sure they remember why we warned them. Silence was a rare gift aboard the Caliban. After the revelations of betrayal and the harrowing raid on the enemy warbird, Hale found himself alone in the observation deck, staring into the eternal black. The stars looked so peaceful, lies stitched across the void. Somewhere beyond them, humanity's enemies plotted. And some of those enemies weren't alien. He heard the door hiss open. Grant's reflection appeared in the window behind him. You didn't sleep. Sleep's a luxury for people who aren't holding civilization together with duct tape. You sure you want to hear what I found? No, Hale muttered. But tell me anyway. Grant stepped closer and handed over a datapad. We decrypted more of the signal logs. There was a second mole. Someone feeding Imperial intel about the Caliban itself. Engineering schematics, shield gaps, crew rotations. Hale scanned the data and stopped cold. This can't be right. It's right. Hale stared at the name. Lieutenant Sophia Marin, his ex-second officer, loyal, sharp, stone-cold brilliant, and someone he'd once trusted with his life. He shook his head. She's dead. Died during the Seraph Mutiny 2 years ago. Grant's face was grim. We recovered a face match on Imperial video just 4 days ago. She's alive, and wearing their uniform. Something deep inside Hale twisted. Marin wasn't just another officer. She had been his closest confidant once, before everything unraveled at Seraph. He'd assumed she'd died trying to hold the ship together during that infamous mutiny, that her loyalty cost her life. Apparently not. I want her found, Hale growled. Alive. I want to ask her why myself. She's commanding an elite interception squad, Grant said, stationed aboard the Voltari Ascendant, one of the Empire's ghost ships. No transponders, no registry. Runs ops behind enemy lines. That's where she's hiding. Reyes entered, face pale. We've just picked up distress signals near the Europa outpost. Civilian transports under attack. Hale turned to the screen as flickering emergency feeds flooded in. Ships breaking apart, orbital colonies bombarded from above. Children screaming in background static. The Empire's testing the limits of Earth's submission, Reyes said bitterly, attacking where they think we won't fight back. Hale didn't even blink. We fight back, hard, hit and run, target their supply lines, make it cost them. And the civilians? Reyes asked. We evacuate who we can. But this fleet doesn't turn into a rescue op. Not anymore. We're the blade now, not the shield. Later that night, Hale sat in the war room alone, staring at Marin's file. Her eyes, sharp, green, always calculating, stared back. He remembered her voice, cold but curious, always asking why instead of how. She wasn't emotional. She was dangerous. And he'd ignored the signs. He tapped his comlink. Grant, Reyes, meet me in the drop bay in 10. We're going after the Voltari. Reyes's voice crackled back. You serious? You think I'm letting another ghost command this war from the shadows? The Caliban shifted course that hour. They found the Voltari Ascendant drifting behind an asteroid belt near the outskirts of the Veshkar system. The Empire thought its location was hidden by gravitational distortion and anti-scan fields. But Hale had something better than scanners. He had rage. They approached in silence. No pings, no flares. The Caliban floated dead, then launched a stealth shuttle with Hale, Grant, Reyes, and a small strike team on board. Hale hadn't worn full combat armor in months. As he locked it over his body, he felt the weight of command melt away. Here, he wasn't a captain. He was a man with a debt to settle. The Voltari loomed ahead, sleek and dark, like a blade waiting in the dark. They breached its hull using a silent cutter and slid into the ventilation shafts. The corridors inside were unnervingly quiet. The ship wasn't just stealthy, it was nearly abandoned. "Power's low," Grant whispered. "This isn't a battleship. This is a research tomb." They moved room to room, clearing chambers, taking down isolated guards without a sound. Then Hale saw her. Sophia Marin stood at a holotable, reviewing battle simulations. Her uniform was imperial, but her posture was unmistakably hers. Hands clasped behind her back, head tilted just so. She hadn't changed a bit. Hale stepped into the room, weapon raised. "Marin." She didn't flinch. She turned, her face calm. Her voice was as precise as ever. "Captain. Or is it Admiral now?" "Why?" he asked flatly. She looked down at the holotable, her fingers dancing across simulations. "You saw Earth's surrender talks. You know the game's over. This war is already lost. So you switched sides. I chose survival." "No, you chose betrayal." Marin's eyes flashed. "You think your loyalty means anything to Earth? You think they won't erase you once the Empire takes over? I've seen the contingency plans. They're going to hand over the outer colonies, sacrifice millions, to save core sectors. And the moment the war ends, they'll purge the ones who fought back." Grant raised his rifle. "She's lying." Hale's heart pounded. "Are you?" Marin smiled. "Do you really think this war is about honor anymore? About heroes and villains? No, Captain. It's about economics, territory, and politics. Earth will sell its soul if it keeps the power grid running." Reyes growled. "You sound just like them." "No," Marin snapped. "I sound like someone who lived through Seraph. You left us to die there. You followed your orders. I followed survival." "Don't pin Seraph on me," Hale said, stepping closer. "You had a choice. You crossed the line." "So did you," she replied. "The moment you became a symbol. You're not a soldier anymore, Hale. You're a martyr waiting to happen." He leveled his weapon at her. She didn't flinch. "Go ahead. Shoot. Make yourself a hero." But Hale didn't shoot. Instead, he turned to Reyes. "Download everything. Maps, fleet positions, civilian purge orders. Every file." Reyes moved to the console and started extraction. Marin sighed. "You don't get it. I'm trying to save humanity. You're trying to impress ghosts." "No," Hale said. "I'm just making sure when the Empire falls, it remembers the people who helped bury it." Marin stepped forward, hands raised. "Hale, please, don't let them use you." "I'm not being used." He turned and walked away. "You're just too stubborn to know when you already lost." As the strike team retreated back toward the extraction shuttle, Hale gave the order to overload the Voltari Ascendant's reactor. He never looked back. An hour later, the Caliban's bridge lit up with new intelligence, dozens of hidden Empire outposts, civilian settlement targeting plans, lists of Earth collaborators. "Broadcast everything," Hale ordered. "To every channel, every colony. Let the people see who they're kneeling to." Reyes nodded. As the first data bursts transmitted into open space, Hale sat in the captain's chair, feeling old. "You still think we can win?" Reyes asked quietly. "I don't care," Hale said. "I just want them to know we never surrendered. Not once." The broadcast went viral in under 4 hours. Civilian colonies, isolated stations, Even fringe systems in deep orbit received the full data dump from the Caliban. Images of Earth's officials shaking hands with imperial envoys, charts showing which colonies were marked for disruption, names of every collaborator tied to the surrender negotiations. Across human space, chaos erupted. Riots broke out in Sidonia. Mining colonies on Mars went dark, rumored to have executed all political representatives. Even some Earth-based military garrisons began defecting or disappearing. The illusion of order was shattered, and the Empire responded like wounded royalty. They didn't send more demands. They sent a fleet. When the warning came in, Hale didn't blink. The new fleet was massive, at least 3 battlecruisers, a mobile dreadnought, and over a dozen escorts. It was no longer an invasion. It was retribution. Reyes slammed a console with his fist. They're burning everything between Eros and Saturn. They're not even bothering to occupy, just sterilizing. Because of us, Grant muttered. Hale stood silent. Number because of them. He gestured to the flickering image of Earth's political board. They thought surrender would protect them. It didn't. And now the Empire's proving that fear is the only language it speaks. Reyes wiped sweat from his brow. We can't stop a dreadnought, Captain. Not with this fleet. We've got 2 cruisers, 3 damaged frigates, and a half-dead flagship. Hale nodded. We don't stop it. We bleed it. We give the Empire the one thing it's never had, a war it regrets starting. He called up the holomap, drawing paths through asteroid belts and magnetized fields. We set a trap. They're arrogant. They think we'll run, so we pretend to. Grant frowned. You mean abandon the outer colonies? Number, we give the Empire what they want, a clean target. We evacuate ahead of their march, load the area with mines, black ice traps, gravitational lures. When they hit what they think is a soft outpost, they'll find hell. It was risky, desperate, the kind of plan born from the back of a cornered bar fight. But it was all they had. Within hours, the Caliban moved. Quiet, ghost-like. Teams worked without sleep to build decoys and plant sabotage gear across the frontier sectors. They used old smuggler channels, pirate beacons, anything that let them move undetected. Hale barely slept. Every moment was filled with strategy, loss reports, and watching the death toll rise. Then, 2 days before the trap was ready, Earth spoke. A priority encrypted message appeared on the Caliban's feed, broadcasting directly from the Terran High Council. Hale opened it. The screen flickered. A man he recognized, a face from every propaganda poster, sat behind a polished desk. Captain Hale, you've committed treason against the Unified Earth Authority. Your broadcast has destabilized civilian peace efforts and triggered mass casualties. You are hereby ordered to cease hostilities, surrender the Caliban, and present yourself to a diplomatic escort. Hale stared in disbelief. Failure to comply, the man continued, will result in permanent exile and classification as an enemy of the state. Reyes swore. Grant kicked the wall. You're joking, Reyes muttered. After everything we did? They're siding with the Empire, Hale said, voice cold. Fully, openly. They've chosen peace at the cost of our spine. Grant's eyes were hard. Then we don't just fight the Empire anymore. We fight Earth too. No, Hale replied. We fight for Earth. They just forgot what that means. He keyed the comm system and recorded a reply. This is Captain Hale of the UNS Caliban. You've accused me of treason. But what is treason, if not refusing to kneel to foreign rule? You offered Earth's soul in exchange for survival. I chose to make the enemy bleed. If history decides that makes me a traitor, then so be it. But I won't surrender. I won't be your scapegoat, and I won't let the Empire rewrite what it means to be human. He ended the message and sent it. Grant clapped once. Hell of a speech. Wasn't a speech, Hale said. It was a promise. The next day, the trap was sprung. The Empire fleet arrived over Ganymede expecting a shattered colony and a terrified population. Instead, they triggered every mine buried in the ice core. The initial blast took out 2 of their frigates. Then came the magnetic pulse, fried their comms and sensors. And then the Caliban struck. Out of the ice storms she came, guns blazing, rail cannons humming like vengeful gods. The support ships followed close, laying down crossfire from the asteroid ring. The dreadnought, slow and bloated with arrogance, tried to reposition. Too late. The Caliban's main guns ripped through its belly, igniting internal fuel reserves. A chain reaction tore the rear engines apart, sending the massive beast listing into the orbit of a dead moon. They fought for hours. 3 Earth ships were lost, hundreds dead. But when it ended, the Empire left 1 battlecruiser burning, 2 escorts crippled, and a dreadnought gone. It wasn't a victory in numbers. It was psychological. The message was clear. We can hurt you. We will hurt you. Hale stood on the Caliban's bridge, smoke curling from the vents, crew limping across the deck. They were exhausted, bleeding, but upright. Reyes grinned through broken teeth. You crazy bastard, you actually did it. Hale didn't smile. He looked at the view screen. Beyond the wreckage, stars burned on, silent and uncaring. This isn't the end, he said quietly. It's just the warning shot. He looked down at the command console. There were still traitors on Earth, still collaborators, still Empire fleets gathering in dark corners of space. But now the galaxy knew something it hadn't known before. Humans would not go quietly. They would fight and claw and bleed, and if necessary, burn everything down with them. The Caliban drifted in low orbit over Ganymede's shattered ice shelf, the broken wreckage of the Empire's dreadnought still tumbling in pieces behind her. Smoke poured from 2 starboard engine vents, and the main turret was down to its last functioning coil. Inside, there was no celebration, only silence. Repair crews worked with bloodied hands. Medbays overflowed. The dead lined the observation deck, wrapped in vacuum shrouds and marked with their ranks. Captain Hale stood at the command window, eyes sunken, jaw clenched. He hadn't spoken since the battle ended. He just watched. He listened to the static hum of damaged systems and the muted cries from wounded crew. Reyes approached, limping slightly. Casualty counts confirmed. 312 dead. Another 200 unfit for duty. Hale nodded once. Engineering? Stabilizing. But we can't take another fight like that. The Caliban's running on duct tape and defiance. Hale finally turned. Then we don't give them another fight. We vanish. Reyes raised an eyebrow. You serious? We disappear into fringe space. Let them chase ghosts while we rebuild. But sir, Hale cut him off. The message was sent. The Empire bleeds. Earth's government is exposed. That's enough for now. He didn't say what was really clawing at him, that he was tired. Not physically, something deeper. That every step forward now felt like dragging a corpse behind him. That sometimes, when he looked in the mirror, he wasn't sure which side of the war he was really on anymore. Then Grant entered the bridge, and he wasn't alone. With him stood Lieutenant Desmond Rayner, head of security operations. 2 Marines flanked him. They weren't here for a friendly chat. Hale's eyes narrowed. What's this? Rayner didn't flinch. Captain, you're being relieved of duty. Reyes took a step forward. Excuse me? Grant raised a datapad. Emergency Protocol 49 Delta. If a commanding officer is deemed emotionally compromised or acting against the long-term survival of Earth's interests, command authority can be suspended. And who the hell decides that? Reyes barked. Raynor's tone was steady. Earth does. Hale's voice was cold steel. So this is it. Mutiny under a different name. Grant sighed. Not mutiny. Containment. You crossed a line with that broadcast. You forced Earth into a corner. Do you have any idea how close we are to a civil war back home? I'm not responsible for Earth's cowardice. But you're responsible for making them bleed for it. The bridge crew looked on, some frozen, others muttering. Hale scanned their faces. Some were confused, a few were angry, and a handful, he could see it in their eyes, agreed with Grant. Betrayal didn't always come with a gun. Sometimes it came with protocol. So what now? Hale asked. Raynor stepped forward. You're confined to quarters until further review. Command transitions to Grant under emergency directive. The Caliban heads back toward the inner sectors under diplomatic flag. Reyes stepped between them. I won't allow this. Grant looked tired. Don't make this worse. The crew's fractured. We need stability, not a martyr. I'm not your martyr, Hale growled. And I'm not done. The Marines raised their weapons. Reyes reached for his sidearm, but Hale held out a hand. Number let them have their moment. He unbuckled his command insignia, dropped it on the floor. You'll regret this, he said to Grant. The moment you start asking questions Earth doesn't want answered. Raynor took him into custody. As Hale was led away, silence hung heavy over the bridge. Reyes looked at Grant. You'd better be sure about this, because the man you just locked up, he's the reason any of us are still alive. The days that followed were slow and tense. The Caliban limped away from Ganymede, charting a course through neutral territories. Grant took command. Messages from Earth poured in, most political, some threatening, a few almost thankful. Civilians praised the end of open battle. The war seemed to pause, like it was holding its breath. But in Hale's confinement cell, he didn't rest. He read reports, tracked ship logs, studied maintenance patterns. There was something wrong, not just with the crew, with the ship itself. And then Reyes visited. He entered the brig quietly and deactivated the security cams for a full minute. They're setting up a purge, he whispered. They're going to split the fleet, send loyal ships to secure colonies. The rest, scrapped or absorbed under new commands. And the crew? Those who resist get reclassified, labeled extremists. Internal memos already flagged over 40 names. Hale leaned forward. They're turning the military into a political machine. They already have. Hale smiled bitterly. Then it's time to break the machine. Reyes slipped a chip into Hale's palm. Access codes. I rigged the nav subroutines. If you can get to the command deck, we can jump. To where? To them. Hale raised an eyebrow. The Black Claw? They're not just pirates anymore. After your broadcast, a dozen rogue squadrons joined them. They've got ships, weapons, even a mobile dockyard. They're waiting for someone to unify them. You think they'll follow me? I think they already do. They just don't know it yet. Reyes left. That night, during routine diagnostics, the lights across cell block Alpha went dark for 40 seconds. It was enough. Hale broke out, using Reyes's code to bypass the failsafes. He moved through the underbelly of the Caliban like a ghost. Every bolt, every hatch still etched into his memory. When he reached the bridge, alarms were already rising. Grant stood from the captain's chair, stunned. You... Step away, Hale said. I'm not here for a debate. You'll kill this ship. I built this ship. Security rushed in, but Reyes held them off. Engage the jump drive, Hale ordered. Reyes activated the nav panel. The stars outside blurred. Space rippled. The Caliban jumped. Not toward Earth. Not toward Empire territory, but into outlaw space. When they emerged, dozens of ships greeted them. Dark, unmarked, hovering like wolves. The Black Claw, Their lead ship signaled one word: welcome. Hale exhaled. For the first time in weeks, he felt awake. Not safe, but alive. The Black Claw's fleet hung in the void like a graveyard of forgotten oaths. None of their ships bore Earth emblems anymore, only crude markings etched into hulls with flame cutters and plasma welders. Each symbol told a story: vengeance, exile, survival. The Caliban emerged from hyperspace just beyond the wreck of a shattered moon. The moment it did, 20 gunships locked weapons on her. Seconds passed before a voice crackled through the comms. "This is Commander Thorn of the Red Silence. You have 30 seconds to explain why a Terran battleship just jumped into outlaw space." Captain Hale stepped into the command bridge, still bruised and worn from his escape and takeover, but his voice was steady. "This is Captain Jackson Hale, former commanding officer under Earth Fleet High Command. I bring no surrender, only a choice." Silence. Then, "Stand by." The gunships didn't lower their weapons. Reyes whispered, "They're not gonna trust us." "They shouldn't," Hale muttered. But 5 minutes later, the signal changed. "Prepare for docking." They approached the largest ship, Deadwake, a repurposed mining hauler turned mobile war barge. It had half a city welded onto its back, a patchwork of habitats, antennas, and makeshift reactors. If the Caliban was Earth's last honest sword, the Deadwake was a hammer built from wreckage. When Hale stepped aboard, it hit him instantly. The smell of oil, ash, sweat. This wasn't a fleet. It was a tribe. Armed men and women watched his every move as he was escorted through the corridors. Some wore old Earth Navy uniforms, their insignias burned off. Others had cybernetic limbs, plasma-scarred faces, prison tattoos. He was led to a chamber in the heart of the ship. There, she waited. Commander Elira Thorn, tall, sharp-boned, eyes like frostbite. Once an officer on the UNS Resolute, court-martialed for striking a superior who ordered the abandonment of a civilian colony. She'd vanished into the fringe afterward. Now she sat like a queen of rust and flame. "Captain Hale," she said, voice low, "the man who finally made Earth show its teeth. I didn't come for applause." "No," she said, rising. "You came because you're out of time." Their eyes locked. Thorn circled him slowly. "You sent a message. You showed them Earth isn't united. You wounded the Empire's pride, but that was just the fire starter. The real war hasn't begun." "I'm not here to start a war," Hale said. Thorn smiled thinly. "Then you're in the wrong place." Reyes stepped forward. "We need allies, ships, fuel, fighters. Earth's gone. The Empire owns her leaders. The only resistance left is here." Thorn stopped. "We know. We've been watching. But you're asking for unity, and we've lived too long in the cracks to trust easy." "I'm not asking you to trust me," Hale said. "I'm asking you to stand for what we were before they broke us." Thorn leaned in close. "Then prove you're not the same man who left Seraph to burn." The words hit like a hammer. Reyes stiffened. Hale didn't move. "I didn't have a choice," Hale said quietly. "There's always a choice," Thorn snapped. "You took the one that left 400 civilians dead. You saved your ship. You let theirs die." "I followed orders." "And I broke them," she said. "And I paid. But I saved lives." Hale nodded slowly. "I've carried that weight every day. I don't expect forgiveness." Thorn studied him. "Good. Because you won't get it." She turned to her officers. "Vote. Council rules. 1 rep per ship. Yes or no. Do we follow this man into war?" They argued for hours. Some wanted blood. Some wanted revenge. A few just wanted purpose. But by dawn, the vote came in. 12-5. They would fight. Not for Hale, for freedom. Later, in the Caliban's war room, Reyes mapped targets with Thorne's tactical chief. They planned raids on Empire communication beacons, sabotage strikes on Terran loyalist outposts, and recon runs into deep Earth territories. But Hale stood alone at the viewport, watching as the Black Claw ships aligned themselves behind the Caliban. It felt wrong, because he knew what was coming next. Not just war, sacrifice. Weeks passed. The rebel fleet struck fast and vicious. They hit Empire refueling hubs, captured ammunition convoys, hijacked signal relays, and scrambled Earth's control over border sectors. Each success brought retaliation. Civilian colonies were burned in response. Earth disavowed the Caliban publicly, branding Hale a war criminal. They even put a bounty on him. 5 million credits. Dead, not alive. Inside the Caliban, Hale noticed changes. Crew morale was shifting, not downward, but dangerously upward. There was pride now, arrogance, a sense of invincibility. That scared him more than fear ever had. "We're not winning," he told Reyes late one night. "We're surviving. Barely. Every win we get costs us something we can't replace." "But it's better than dying quietly," Reyes said. "Is it?" Before Reyes could answer, alarms flared. "Incoming transmission, code black." They rushed to the comms room. The message was short. UN's Hyperion, Earth Fleet loyalist ship, had defected. They were en route, but pursued by 3 Empire warships. Hale acted instantly. "Prep rescue intercept. All hands battle ready." The Caliban and 2 Black Claw escorts jumped to rendezvous coordinates near the Sirius corridor. When they arrived, they found the Hyperion already bleeding. Hull breaches, fires, escape pods drifting. Empire ships were tearing her apart. "Lock weapons," Hale barked. "All batteries, fire at will." The Caliban slammed into combat. It wasn't enough. They managed to down 1 Empire ship, but the Hyperion exploded before extraction was complete. Only 6 crew members survived. One of them was a woman, injured, smoke-choked. But when Hale pulled her into the medbay and saw her face, his heart stopped. It was Marin. Again. Alive. Again. She smiled through cracked lips. "You thought I'd let this end without saying goodbye?" Hale said nothing. "Earth's not done," she whispered. "They're building something. An endgame." "What is it?" Her eyes fluttered shut. Then she whispered 2 words. "Project Solace," and passed out. The medbay of the Caliban was eerily quiet. Outside, the ship hummed from fresh battle damage, welders sparking and repair teams shouting orders. But inside, it was just Captain Hale, standing over the unconscious form of Sophia Marin. She hadn't said another word since collapsing. But the name she whispered, Project Solace, reverberated through Hale's mind like an alarm no one else could hear. He turned as Reyes entered, clutching a data pad. "She's stable," Reyes said. "Barely. Took a plasma burn through the side. We've got her on oxygen and stims, but—" Hale gestured. "What did you find?" Reyes handed the pad over. "You're not going to like it." Hale read the decrypted file. Slowly. Twice. Then he sat down. Project Solace wasn't a weapon. It was a system. A planetary override built into the Earth Fleet's neural command net, connected through orbital arrays, deep core relays, and behavioral implants. But worst of all, it was connected to something else. Human thought sinks. The same tech Earth had quietly implanted in thousands of its soldiers over the past decade, under the guise of performance enhancements. Neural aids, focus stabilizers, cognitive enhancers. They were control nodes. Project Solace was a switch. When flipped, it would override the decision-making of every soldier in the fleet. Not kill them. Use them. Turn them into extensions of Earth's command AI, obedient, efficient, emotionless. Hale looked up at Reyes. "This isn't a failsafe." "No, Reyes said. "It's a leash." A hush passed between them. Grant entered next, bloodied from a skirmish on Deck 6. "They're accelerating everything," he said. "Earth's mobilizing. Empire fleet's moving to rendezvous in Saturn's shadow. We've got maybe 3 days before they clamp down and crush the last of us." Hale handed him the pad. Grant read it, said nothing for a long while. Then, "They're not just ending the rebellion, they're ending choice." The Rebel Council gathered aboard the Deadwake that night. 17 commanders, each hardened by exile, betrayal, and survival. None of them spoke with hope, only clarity. "Solace activates from Earth's main orbital command cradle," Thorne said. "It's protected by a dozen platforms, shielded by anti-jump fields, and crawling with AI drones." "We'd never get close," one pirate captain scoffed. "Suicide." "Then we die," Reyes snapped, "doing something that matters." Silence. Hale stood. He wasn't the man who stood before them weeks ago. Not a captain, not even a soldier. Now he was a symbol. "You all know what Earth's become. You've watched it rot from within, selling out our people, kneeling to the Empire, choking freedom to save their skin." He held up the datapad. "This is what they want to do next." He tossed it onto the table. "This isn't a war anymore. This is a choice. Let them rewrite what it means to be human, or remind them who we are." Thorne stood beside him. "This is the last line. You don't cross it, you erase it." The vote wasn't even close. Unanimous. The final plan was savage in its simplicity. The Caliban would spearhead the assault, break through Earth's orbital defenses with Thorne's elite warfighters, and a suicide run from the Red Silence. Once inside the cradle, a strike team would disable Project Solace's core, not destroy it. That would trigger automated fallback. They needed to unplug it, manually, and that meant boots on metal. As the fleet assembled in the Kuiper dark space, Reyes approached Hale in the armory. "You're going down there, aren't you?" "Yes. You're the only thing holding this together." "I know. You don't have to be a martyr." "I'm not," Hale said, locking his weapon into place. "I'm just the guy who won't let Earth forget." The final battle began under silence. The rebel fleet didn't announce itself. It struck like lightning. The Red Silence tore into the defense platforms first, drawing fire, blinding sensors, forcing Earth's sentries to react. The Caliban surged behind it, her wounded engines roaring like beasts at the gates of hell. Lasers, railguns, EMP bursts, ships fell, bodies spun through vacuum, the stars wept fire. But they broke through. Inside the command cradle, Hale's strike team landed in a blaze of force, cutting through drone swarms and automated gunners. Marin, miraculously back on her feet, fought beside them, rifle in hand, one eye bandaged, the other focused with cold rage. "We hit core control," she shouted. "Then bypass AI systems and loop the fail-safes. Give me 10 minutes. "You've got 5, Hale barked. The corridors pulsed with red light. Defense systems whirred. They cut down a second squad of combat bots. 2 rebels fell. One screamed. The other didn't even have time. They reached the control chamber, a vast cathedral of light and code. The Solace core hung above like a synthetic brain, cables pulsing with thoughts not yet born. Marin ran to the console. "Cover me." They did. Grant went down first, shot through the chest. Reyes dragged him behind cover. "Still with me?" Hale shouted. Grant coughed blood. "Always." Bots swarmed. Hale tore them down, shot by shot. Every breath a war drum. Marin worked furiously. "I've got one chance. When I cut this, everything Earth has becomes vulnerable." "Do it." She did. The core pulsed, then dimmed. Across the galaxy, every Earth fleet paused. Pilots gasped as their thoughts returned. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Ships drifted, unsure. Project Solace died in silence. And then, in rage, Earth retaliated. a fail-safe charge armed in the cradle's core. Hale turned. "Marin!" "Too late!" she screamed. The charge detonated. Hale grabbed her, shielded her body. White. When he woke, the stars were gone. Smoke, pain, silence. He was in a field tent, medical bays humming nearby. The war was over. Reyes sat nearby, half his face bandaged. "You did it," he said softly. "They tried to trigger Solace again. Nothing. We tore the last leash off." Hale tried to speak. Couldn't. Reyes smiled faintly. "Marin's alive. Barely. You saved her. Again." Hale closed his eyes. Later, they moved him to a temporary base orbiting Mars. The Earth government was in chaos. The Empire had withdrawn support. The traitors were either dead or discredited. A provisional council formed, this time without Imperial oversight. And Hale was offered the rank of Supreme Commander. He refused. Instead, he left the uniform behind, walking into the outer colonies with nothing but scars and silence. History would call him a hero, but he never cared for titles. He just wanted one truth to remain. They warned them. They pushed, and humanity pushed back harder.